Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Miss Anita Wilson, and this is Lady Legends, where we celebrate the contributions of women to the music and entertainment industry. Lady Legends is a conversation with beautiful black women who have shaped culture and whose impact will be felt for generations to come. Today, we are talking with my sister, Mrs. Kierra Sheard-Kelly. Hail the princess of gospel music, Kierra Sheard-Kelly is the granddaughter of the legendary choir master Mattie Moss Clark and the daughter of Bishop J. Drew Sheard, presiding bishop of Kojic Incorporated, and Lady Karen Clark Sheard of the legendary Clark sisters. Kierra has boldly and gracefully continued the family legacy not only through her global music career as a singer, songwriter, minister, and performer, but she's also solidifying her mark as a creative director, fashion designer, actress, mentor, wife, author, the list goes on. And even with more than 20 years in ministry and the music business, this lady legend is just getting started. It's truly my pleasure to share a bit of our conversation as we chat about family, business, life, love, and so much more. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me today. It's just a part of my makeup to celebrate people who have been making an impact for a long time. And, at this point in the game, phrases and words like GOAT, the greatest of all time, and legend and all that, it's grossly loosely used. Should I say it again? It is grossly loosely used. And I say if you've been doing it for like 20 years plus, then, with impact, with quality moves, with quality content, quality music, just a quality public presence, then I consider you a legend. So you are indeed, my sister, a lady legend. And
You.
indeed, for sure, for sure. And while your first album released, I think in 2004, I consider your start to be in 1997. Of
Oh
course,
my.
and yes, that was your introduction. So 24 years and counting, my sister has been making moves. So salute. This is just a huge salute to you. So yeah.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
you're welcome.
I had an ugly cry now. Wow, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, especially from you. You are a legend. These songs you write, they
Girl.
hit you. Pop them out like babies. I love it.
Well, thank you. That means a lot from you, ma'am. Thank you. I want to talk about Kiara, the person who wears a whole lot of hats. Goodness, the woman, the wife, the entrepreneur, the fashion designer, the creative director, the person. But being born in 1987 in Detroit, who were some of your musical influences? Of course, your family, but who were some of the other musical influences that you remember growing up?
Whoa, musical influences. Um, that is a good. Okay, well, I'll be honest.
Okay.
And so I was in choir rehearsals, for when I was growing up. I'm a PK, and
Yeah.
I had people like Andre Crouch, Commission, the Clark sisters. You said besides them, but
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Commission, Witness. That was who we listened to. Hezekiah Walker. So that was who we listened to growing up. And then God rest his soul, but Carmen. My
Hmm.
mom had me on to Carmen, and that's when I was like, oh, there are other. I used to call them other genres of gospel music, but it was
Okay.
just. And my mom corrected me. She was like, "We all sing about the same God. It's just this is gospel, and that's CCM."
Yeah.
But now that I've grown older, I started tapping into. Oh man, some people think I'm weird when I say it, but Avril Lavigne, I love hearing her rawness. Mary J.
Hmm.
Blige. When I started
Yeah.
hearing the twist, when I started hearing these R&B singers sound like my mom, I was like, oh no, they listening to somebody over here that we know about.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
became fans of like Faith Evans. I'm obsessed with Mary J. Blige and
Yeah.
the 112s. I love the whole 90s era. Um, I could go on Michael Bublé and
I love
Beyonce,
90s
of
too.
course. I love Michael Bublé's, but I could go on and on because I pick and pull. At one point, I was just kind of studying Ella Fitzgerald because I wanted to scat like her because my mom was able to do the churchy stuff and then she was able to scat. So then that's when I started getting into Layla Hathaway and I could go.
What I love about influence is I always say influence is different than imitation, right? You know, sometimes people set out to like do a song like so and so, and we want to do a song just like so and so. But I love it. That's imitation. That's when you're trying to do something. But influence, I just love it because it just naturally comes out. It just naturally comes out in your music or in a little riff that you did. Girl, we were watching the clip of you with Molly Music. Speaking of influence that just comes out, whatever song that was you and Molly were singing.
Yeah.
You did the Stokely, ma'am. You did the Stokely. Me and Rick was like, and you was like, ah. He was like, she's doing the Stokely. She's doing the Stokely. We got so hyped. That's one of those moments. It's one of those moments. It just comes out.
I love now that and to say that y'all mentioned that, and you know only a musician can hear and spot that. Yeah. So that means a lot that y'all heard that because Stokely is another one that I've listened to. Like you know how you have these moments where you just sit with certain musicians and artists and you just study them, and it's funny to see how they come out. So I'm really excited to hear because at one point I'll be honest. Where I was still trying to find myself and what I could sit in comfortably, I was imitating. So now that you're able to say, but I hear the influence more so than you are imitating, that means a lot to me. And that speaks to my growth. So thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So growing up, did you know that you were a part of this legendary family, or was it just, this is my family and this is how it is and people go crazy over my family? What did that feel like? And from then to now, does a pressure come along with that? Talk to me about being a part of that legendary family as we move forward.
So I definitely would say I knew that they were legends, but I think it clicked in a different way when, you know, just because they were just, oh, that's just mama, that's just auntie and them. Yeah. Once I went to school and I'm like, okay, I'm learning about these other artists and these are the popular artists. Yeah. And then I learned that they were influenced by who I'm in the house with. I was like, oh, this is for real a legend. It's like legit a legend. So I don't know if you've seen, but I saw somebody comment and say, Kierra Sheard is your favorite singer. And when I began to learn that, my level of appreciation beyond her just being mommy, because she's been an amazing mommy. And I think the world can't define that. Like that's a whole nother aspect of her that's just absolutely amazing. Yeah. But her on stage and what she can do creatively, and even my Aunt Twinkie, when I saw that there were some things that they were doing at my age, they kind of sunned me and was like, baby, you only got half of it. I'm like, oh, y'all was doing that like, as a matter of fact, it wasn't them doing things at my age. They were doing things that I'm only learning to do in my 30s, in their 20s. Wow. So it showed me that they were, and then they're timeless. Like, you know how sometimes a lot of legends are like, you know, I wonder if my time is up or if I'm tapping out. But it's like, there are some things, yes, we're moving differently and having different fluctuations in our voice. Yeah. But there are some things that y'all were doing that we can't do today. Still. And so I think that when I started realizing, you know, and going into these different places outside of the church, and they're like, no, that Kierra Sheard, that Twinkie Clark, they brought me through this and they taught me that. So I did know they were legends, but it hit different once I did a little bit more of my research and then tried to do what they were doing. Yeah. So it was real special, but they were always, yes, like you said, just family. But I have said and made it a priority to not take my family for granted because I see them every day. So I'm always like, the other day we were in church, Anita, and my mom sang randomly, just put on a vamp and it was a crazy hook. The musicians followed, and she even did a rehearsal a couple days before that. And just to see how she was able to teach and command the room, say what I want, play this, play that. I'm like, I can't do that. So yes, they're family, but they are still the star in my eyes.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's beautiful that you continue to honor them, and it's apparent. We see it all the time. You honor your mother, and your father, and your brother, and your aunts. It's a beautiful legacy. So much love. Shout out to the legendary Clark sisters.
Yes.
You are the owner of a plus size fashion line for women called
Yes.
1160.
Yes.
And we know that it is inspired, the name of it is inspired by your mom's birth month and year. But tell
Yes.
us why you decided to start that fashion line, and how, what experiences you've taken away from that journey thus far.
Yeah, I wanted to do the fashion line because I once upon a time was skinny, but I grew to be I grew
I grew.
grew.
Oh my God.
I had some juice on my bones. I don't like to call it fat. I am an advocate of being healthy though, but I
Yeah.
call it juice on my bones. And while I was in school, a lot of my friends were smaller than me, and so I had to wear like boy clothes. And but my mom
Mm.
made it to where I was still fashionable. Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
always have to wear boy clothes, but this is when like the whole plus size thing was not yet fully embraced, if you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. And
Yes,
so my
yes.
mom would get my clothes tailored sometimes, or she would, I don't know if you remember the Coogee sweater dresses.
Yes.
So we made it work. And sometimes I would, borrow my father's clothes or J. Drew's clothes, and I would cut up some of their stuff to make it fit me like it was fitting my friends. And so that is how
Yeah.
I started evolving into like, oh, I'm like halfway a designer. And then I started learning how to cut up my jeans and bleach them and do like that. So I started noticing that I was getting a lot of compliments, but I noticed how it made me feel. It didn't make me feel left out because they like,
Okay.
where are you finding this stuff from? And you're, more on the juicier side. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I was like, well, I'm not getting it from your store. I'm making it. And so that's how I kind of went into that lane, because at one point I did know what it felt like to feel left out, as if I was the outsider because I was the curvy woman. So,
Mm-hmm.
but once I found my niche and once I found like cute clothes, I also know what it did for me as a woman, like just walking in my authority, owning who I am, like just taking
Yes.
ownership of the choices that I've made. So I wanted to do that for another young woman. And even as a grown woman, I wanted to do that for her as well. And
Yeah.
what we wear, especially like, because a straight size woman, no shade, y'all know I love y'all, but
Mm-hmm.
a straight size woman can throw on a t-shirt and a blazer and she can be fine. We have to throw on a little extra undergarment. It can't just be a t-shirt because we got the juice that may be peeping through the white t-shirt.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I wanted to give clothes to the curvy woman that she did not have to over accessorize because she was a curvy woman. It was just like, I can throw this on, I'm comfortable, and I still look fly. So that's
Yes.
where 1160 was all kind of built upon.
I love that. I totally know what you mean, because yes. I'm a thick woman, but I got a waist here. So everything
Yes,
that things that may fit you, that you end up looking frumpy, and I want to show these curves, baby. So, yes,
right.
thank you on behalf of the curvy women of the world. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Listen, I, along with so many of your fans, enjoyed your virtual concert in 2020. Of course, the pandemic took everybody by surprise. And you kept with your plan. You pressed through the ups and downs of figuring out that time. And ma'am, you did the most amazing virtual concert, and many have followed. But you did the most amazing virtual concert that was filmed in your home church, Greater Emmanuel Institutional Church of God in Christ.
Yes.
But it looked like, and for me viewing it, felt like I was viewing something that was in an arena. I'm in Chicago. It felt like we were in the United Center, or the arenas and things. So first of all, huge kudos to that, Kierra, because Listen, none, not that you were trying to top nobody, but none have touched what Miss Kierra Sheard-Kelly
Thank
blessed us with last year. So it was really, really dope. And I truly loved it, A to Z, the way that you rolled it out for your fans and encouraged us during this challenging time. So, like, what was your inspiration there, man? Like, how did you, because you're a creative director, so you creatively directed that, I'm assuming?
Yes, I did.
Yes. So good.
I did. The inspiration behind it, Anita, was I'll go to these concerts. I'm not gonna lie and act like I don't. I go to other concerts outside of gospel
Yes.
music, strong
Yes.
supporter of gospel music. And I've gone to some pretty life-changing productions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, I've gone to like the Kirk Franklin and the Marvin Sapp when they did that like King's tour. And
Right.
then just even working with Uncle Donald and seeing how he is just this man of excellence.
Yeah.
And then even seeing like the recordings that he and my mom has done together
Mm-hmm.
and looking at how the people are affected. It was like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm gonna be honest, I was nervous at the top of this pandemic because I'm like, my music is coming out and
Right.
I won't be able to go and promote my music.
Yeah.
So I told and kudos salute to Dr. Holly and Norman
Yeah.
and Markel, my brother Jay Drew. I told them I want to be able to do what I'm not always able to do outside of the pandemic. And
Mm.
I want to give a show that I go to see to pay a lot of money for sometimes, but it's usually for the mainstream artists, which is so
Mm-hmm.
unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show the world that we as gospel artists, we have the vision to
Yes.
see big. And it's just if we had those dollars behind us, it would be. So that was why that
Mm.
was what inspired me. I wanted to show too our generation that it's possible for us to be, gospel artists. But and that's all I was looking at. My aunt found a journal that I wrote in from middle school, and it said that
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be this major artist who put on shows like Missy Elliott. And so that was the inspiration behind it. I was like, I'm gonna take advantage of this. And I did it. I said I wanted these
I
big. At
love
first,
that.
everybody was like, "That's too much." I said, "No, this is what I want. I want to do it as if the room is full, and I want to go crazy with the production." So that was the inspiration behind it.
You did it. You did it. I hope you
Thank you.
felt that you accomplished every bit of what you set out to do. And I was just so inspired and uplifted and challenged as a fellow artist and just challenged as a person too, because that was at a time where I don't know if anybody knew how we were going to push forward. You know, everybody was really thrown off. So it gave us some sense of normalcy and hope, like, okay, we just got to figure it out. You know, it is
Yeah,
doable. It is doable. So it was everything. So yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. As one of your fans, I thank you for that amazing experience. Congratulations on everything that has been taking place with your album, which is Grammy nominated.
Wow.
Yes. I hope you feel the love. Because sometimes, Key, maybe you thought that people love you because of who you are connected to, but it's
Yeah.
always so important to me that people feel the love, and you know that you are appreciated and people love you for you and your uniqueness and your transparency. You've been transparent about your weight journey and your relationship with food. Girl, you had you had me hollering when you did that video.
And tell me to stop eating these chocolate covered almonds! Just because it's an almond, that don't mean you can eat it with chocolate on it! And not a doggone ice cream truck just rolled by the house. Y'all don't even come out here like that! What is going on?
Oh, that was so.
It's
That
a
was, thank you.
struggle.
It is. It is. It is. But I always say I'm gonna keep trying until I get it right. But I thank God for the man in my life that loves me for who I am. I
Yeah.
thank God for I call them supporters. I don't really call them fans, but I thank God for people who observe me and love me and love that I own my curves, and they're inspired to own their curves. And when you get that kind of feedback, it kind of relaxes the pressure that society can put on us, but we can also put on ourselves to look like this, or to be able to wear this, or whatever the case may be. I remember years ago, there was someone I was talking to, and he was a stylist, and I was like, "Oh, cool, you should style me one day," And he was like, "Oh no, you gotta lose weight before I style you," and he said it so quick and flip, but I was like, man, that really cut deep. And I'm like, no, if I gain 20 pounds, I want you to, style me at whatever size I'm at. And, so many things along your journey can make you feel not good enough.
I'm very transparent with this book that's called Big, Bold, and Beautiful.
Yes,
and I tell in that story, just to relate to the stylist experience that you had. I tell in my book how for a long time when I was coming out my records, they encouraged me to do waist up photos because I was this plump young girl. Wow. And so I'll talk more about it in the book, but I think that a lot of us have had experiences on the go, like what you said. And it's like, did you just say that? Or is that what's really, and I remember I talk about it in the story or in the book where somebody said that I looked like a Pillsbury Doughboy. And that was coming from an exec at one of the labels, but it's an empowering piece to the book overall. And then I actually fought for, which shout out to Zondervan and Harper Collins. I asked them, I said, can I please have the title on the book Big, Bold, and Beautiful? Like, it just can't be anything. I need it to be big. Because I'm embracing my big. You may call me a lot of people still say, oh, she's a big woman. Or you know how they say, what do they say when they describe a curvy woman?
Pretty for a big girl and stuff like that.
Pretty for a big girl, yes. She'll look plump. So I'm
she'll look plump, but she looks good. But she looks good. Yeah, those kinds of things. Yeah.
So in the book, I talk about that, and I'm really excited to share that story because while it may be weight for me, I say in the book, it could be somebody else's big feet, big eyes, or things that make them feel like disconnected or out the box. So I'm really excited about it.
Support. And I'm really glad, there are different people that are living in that and embracing that helps the women who are not on display to embrace it in their own lives. So, and you're a very important figure there. So you are an inspiration, Kierra. You're inspiration. Why did you choose to name your album Kierra?
Because I was tired of thinking of titles for an album.
Okay.
That's why I was approved. Like, I just think, what do you want to call the album? And I was like, because the songs, it wasn't coming to a central, something. Theme. It was,
okay.
It was just, I was like, I don't know. Can we just call it Kierra? I've never did a record with just Kierra. And I think it actually says a lot. Now, I will say I stuck to it once. I was like, well, I think it says a lot because, everybody has seen me grow up. And now here I am. It was just different for me. So I can say that much.
I got you. How do you enjoy working with your brother? I work very closely with my husband, and we gel so well with creating music. But just honestly, when you're close to someone like that, you bump heads too, and you get on each other's nerves, or your ideas get to, So how is it working with your big brother?
It's exactly what you just described with Big Brother Rick.
Okay. All right.
It can be very special, but it can be, we have our annoying moments. But I think sometimes those moments kind of have brought us closer together and have had us to learn our way of communicating. But it's super fun because the excitement, now I will say there is a delivery that I give when my brother is there that I don't give when he's not there.
Really?
And and I've noticed that when he's on the drums, like the story when my wig came off, the only reason I got back up off the stage and swung my wig Anita, is because I looked back at my brother like, what am I supposed to do? And he said, he just did this with his stick. He was still, and he said, and I just took my wig and I felt empowered. I get chills and I want to cry.
I just got chills.
Swinging my wig, and the room started screaming like this girl just embraced the fact that she lost her wig in front of us.
That was a moment.
My braids were so dirty that, like, literally, you came close. They were so dandruffy and awful. But I say that to say, I have my brother holds a super special place in my heart. And there's music, there are songs there. I get the guts to put things in lyrics that I've never had the guts to say before when I work with my brother. And then with especially the live music, because I feel like I produce my best live music with my brother. And that's when I come alive, on stage. And honestly, I think that my supporters would, well, I won't say that they prefer, because I think they do like the studio version, but I think that my supporters love when I'm live and just kind of giving it. But that has a lot to do with my brother. But just the other day, he was annoying the heck out of me. If I cursed, I would say something else, but I love him to pieces.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome. Last year, you were blessed to portray your mother in the Clarks, the First Ladies of Gospel, the Clark Sisters movie, and it was just phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So congratulations on all of that success that has come your way, and the whole cast. Kudos to the entire team, but congratulations to you. How did it feel? And I know this is such a run-of-the-mill question, but I have to ask, how does that feel? How did that feel portraying your mother and being in scenes as your mother and father in that whole moment? How was that?
It was super special. I called my mom crying and I said, Mommy, I am so sorry for not I honored my mother before, but I said, I'm so sorry for not honoring you to the capacity of which I should have. Wow. And I said, you are amazing. You are amazing, because I was in the studio and Uncle Donald was like, you have to hit this note. And I was feeling lightheaded because I couldn't hit it. Wow. I could, like, this was a moment where I was floored, and then she was a teenager. So this is where I was telling you about earlier in our conversation. Yes. Of when they were doing things that I'm just now trying to do, while they were teens. And I asked Michael Donna, I said, how old do you think she was? And she was like, I think she was like 18 or 20 or something like that. So it was really special, and it floored me. It even stretched me. So now a lot of people are like, you sound like your mom. I scare myself because I do hear myself sounding like her. Yes. And she's a quiet storm. That's what I've learned about my mom. Mm-hmm. She's this graceful woman, but she's not afraid of anything. And I think that exactly who she is internally, it comes out when she's on stage, when she takes these risks with her voice. And that is who my mom is. She's not afraid of anything, but she's this soft-spoken woman, but I call her a quiet storm. So I learned so much about her. I learned why she is the praying monster that she is. I know that's kind of like contradictory, but I learned that because having to do her role, there were moments as the youngest where I just had to kind of sit back and just watch, whereas in real life, I'm the oldest. So I would speak up, but Mommy was learning to pray and just be quiet and just, know that would change it. And so I learned so much about her, and that was really special. So she's taught me with that role that it's okay to be quiet. It doesn't mean that you're less than. And sometimes to be silent is the strongest thing, because some people just like to fill the air with like a bunch of nothing. Yes. So it was really special. It was life-changing for me. And to be honest, Anita, I didn't want to do it. And I got chills, I'm telling you, because it was not just a movie role for me or a resume. It was really life-changing for me. And it had me to see my mom really different.
Guys, well, y'all blessed us. Y'all blessed us so much. And I thank you. I thank your family for that glimpse. It was a glimpse into very personal moments that we were just enthralled. We were just glued. So thank you so much for saying yes and not doing it, even though you were a little hesitant to do it. It was impactful, and it is going to last and last and last. Do you see more acting in your future?
Oh, I do. I would love to. And I'll be honest, the experience itself, there was so much opposition that I experienced in that moment when I was like, oh, I never want to do this again. And then I told my mom, and she was like, Kierra, I think something great is coming out of this film, like something big. We didn't know that it was going to do the numbers that it was going to do and all of that. So to answer your question, if it's bigger than me, then yes. I don't want to just do, anything. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it has to be the right role. It has to be the right opportunity. I understand. So you've been doing financial literacy classes for young people. Tell us more about that. I think that's great. That's something that we didn't get. A lot of us didn't get coming up. So tell us about that and why you decided to do that for the young people.
Yes,
you need to do it for some old people, huh?
Everyone was welcome. This is actually the notebook from it.
Okay.
And we had like steps and stuff so you could journal. It was really fun. And I partnered with Dr. Soares, and he is a huge giant in the African American community. I mean, globally, but in the African American community when it comes to financial freedom. So we partnered together, and we, I think we canceled about $7,000 in debt collectively as a group, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
So all were welcome, but I wanted to help because like great example, my husband and I, we were doing some planning, and we were just like, okay, what are we going to do with our finances? Because there are people who don't sleep. And then you also, if your sleep is interrupted, then you can't dream of what the next thing is. And sometimes that interferes with, you being able to hear from the Lord, and finances have a lot to do with that. And then from my research, I've learned that finances is like the number one or the number two thing that causes divorce. And so I was like, we're going to tackle this, we're going to do what we need to do. And so it went really well. We had the eldest was like, I guess like 50 years old.
Absolutely. Is that something that you would do again?
That's a good question. I think I will, because I love the results. So many people were empowered, and we came back and we said, all right, what did you apply from last week's session to this week? And how did you bounce back? And so many people were like, oh, I paid this off. I paid that off. It was just really special. So I think so. Maybe.
Yeah, that's awesome. I must say, honey, that you have always been so beautiful, so free, carefree, transparent, from the wig moment to the cookies to the whatever, just honest and free and key. But let me tell you, it is something very real that happens when you say I do to somebody, and on a very deep level that is beyond words. And since you have shared your nuptials with the world, just from the glimpses you give us from videos or pictures, you have a glow on you that has taken that freedom, that peace to a whole nother level, and it shines through your videos and your pictures, sis. So I am so happy for you. Tell us how Mr. Jordan-Kelly has changed your life.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I'm gonna try not to cry. Jordan has changed my life. Lord have mercy, Anita. I don't want to cry.
It's okay.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, let me put it together. Jordan has changed my life by showing me that what I once upon a time thought was impossible was very possible. The thing I thought that I needed to be loved, he came in my life and he just showed me that that's not too much. I would ask, is that too much to ask? No, that's easy. Like what once upon a time was so complicated, to someone else, it was just like I could take that. That's like that ain't nothing. And so he's changed my life just with restoring my hope in, not that I ain't looking for nobody else, but it has restored my hope in humanity. Because at one point, I'll even say in men, because at one point I thought it was just my granddad, my dad, and that was it. It was nobody else. And here my husband is this integral guy, and how you talked about like how I'm honest and or transparent. He's the same way. Like there was nothing left unsaid, but he's also a man of very few words. And I love that. So it's still I think I'm gonna say this. You know how before we would say, "Oh, I like the bad guy," and we would get a thrill out of the dysfunctional relationship. And once we've grown. Well, I'll say once I've grown older, the thrill that I now have about my husband is the things that he does not say, but he still says it all. So it's like just enough. And so it's like not an unhealthy thrill. It's like really special. So I just sing different. I respond to people different. I don't feel like I have to make a lot of explanations. And the argument is different. Like it's not, all fairy tales and pixie dust, but it's a different way of arguing also that is still healthy because it causes me to see myself. So he has absolutely changed my life. And I literally feel like God loves on me through him because there's a confidence that I have now, Anita, when I'm walking across the mirror naked, I feel 10 pounds lighter because of my husband.
I know what you mean, sis. I know what you mean. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but he has changed my life in so many ways.
Beautiful. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations to you and Jordan on your love and your life together. And we wish you so many years of happiness. Beyond what you can imagine, because you so deserve it. You're such a beautiful soul, Key, and you're such a beautiful light. And we thank you for your light. We thank you for your light. So, are you going to hyphenate? Are you just going? Do you know what you're going to do?
I'm gonna hyphenate because Sheard has brought me this far, so I'm gonna let Kelly carry me the rest of the way.
I love that. That's a good mindset. Listen, we're just gonna add to that, right? We're gonna add to it. Well, I love it. We wish you all the best. What's something that your fans and supporters would be surprised to know about you?
Oh, that's a good question because I give so much. I don't know. Is it surprising to know that I can be sensitive? Do I give off sensitivity?
You don't give off sensitivity, but at the same time, I could see something hurting your feelings. I don't know. You're a Gemini. You're my Gemini sister. So we have strength and we have very. I always say I'm a Tootsie Roll because I'm like I'm hard on the outside. I'm a little, but something that you wouldn't think that hurt my feelings, I would be crying. And Rick, like, you crying? Why are you crying? I'm like, yeah, you're about. So maybe that is surprising because you carry your life and you carry the legacy and the responsibility of the platform with grace and class and strength. So maybe some would think that too much won't bother you because you handle your business and you crank out these projects, but they don't know that just before that scene I was crying because they don't know. Exactly. So perhaps so.
To your point, I'm sensitive with certain people. You just reminded me that when you said Rick.
Yes.
Because I just told Jordan, I said I'm a bulldog to everybody else, but for you,
Yes.
you have to treat me almost like I'm a little girl.
Yes.
Because everybody else can say what they want, and I'm like, oh, I don't care. But when Jordan, even Jay Drew, when he responds to me a certain way, my mommy, the other day she said, "Girl, you look like a such and such with them pants on," and I said, "Okay, did you just say that? You're my mother."
Right.
And she's so used to me being like, it wasn't nothing outrageous, but I was surprised to hear it. And she was like, "Oh, girl, get over it." And I was like, "Well, you're either turning into Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, or I need you to change your tone."
Because that hurt my feelings. Yeah. So I get that. It depends on who it is. I get it. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for this time together. You are a busy woman. You keep it coming. We are looking forward to your book and whatever else you and Mr. Kelly and God have in store for the world. We love you, Kierra, and I thank you for being you. And we salute you, Lady Legend. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Queen Anita. You know I want to give you more words of appreciation, but I gotta see this. Thank you.
Thank you. Vivacious, captivating, and so inspiring. Sending a huge thank you to Mrs. Kierra Sheard-Kelly for joining us on Lady Legends. Her new book, Big, Bold, and Beautiful, is available now. Be sure to support. If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid and leave a comment, like, and subscribe so you'll know when new content is released.